Wolves 1, Sheffield United 0. Not a brilliant game for the Wolves, really, but it's obviously crucial and quite important that we got the 3 points in the end. And just a frustrating afternoon. We know Wolves can play much, much better than what we saw today. But ultimately, in these sort of games against these teams, we normally moan when we play half decent stuff and have a lot of the ball and don't get the results. So I think the most important thing out of today was, get the 3 points. Unchanged team after last weekend's win over Spurs, which, I fully appreciated. I know there were a few people commenting on the preview that maybe we could see Wolves switch to a back four, allow maybe an extra man in midfield. But I didn't think we needed to. I think you got the three at the back. You rely on your wing backs for that little bit more going forward. And it was just the whole, from minute 1 to minute 95, or whatever it was frustrating. You knew the first half was going to be frustrating because of the low block that Sheffield United would have. They took their time with the goal kicks, which obviously frustrated us even more. And felt we just had to really get into half time, get a goal, and then Sheffield United will come out at us, and that'll suit Wolves a lot better. Thankfully, we got the goal in the end. Ryan Aït-Nouri with a ball in, glancing header by Pablo Sarabia into the top corner to give Wolves a goal and the lead. And I felt like, I look at the rest of the game and the rest of the first half in particular. We had a couple of great chances to break forward. I'm not too sure what was wrong with Pedro Neto today. I was quite frustrated with his performance in the first half, and I felt he was almost non-existent in the second half. First half, there were times where he got the ball down wide and just refused to whip it in, refused to release. Ultimately, the first time we actually put the ball into the box is when we score the goal. So, yeah, like I said, crucial to going at 1-0 up at half-time, but the second half, really, really unsure what happened to Wolves. You knew Sheffield United were going to come out and attack us a lot more, but almost the way they played in the second half should, on paper, and at what we've seen so far this season, that should suit Wolves. They had a much higher line, they were pressing high. Wolves are normally so good at playing against the press and then breaking on the counter-attack, and we were really, really poor at that today. I felt the issue was that lack of urgency. Wolves at times looked almost unfit. Some of the players, just not a lot of interest and lack of energy today, which was frustrating. And the defence had work to do, but really, really struggled to play out from the back today for whatever reason. The ball was going through Dawson a lot. One or two of his passes were misplaced. Kilman, instead of opening his body up, made it very difficult for himself at times. And I felt what it was you had very few options. It was almost so stretched. And the line of engagement, like the forward players, were so far away from the back three. It made it very, very hard for Wolves to play at the back unless you wanted to go direct. Lemina at times almost sat next to Hwang Hee-chan, so it was only leaving João Gomez as an option centrally as well. So that made things frustrating throughout the second half anyway. Ultimately, we got the job done, but I think there was a shout for a handball in there, which I didn't see clearly from where I was, so I can't comment on that too much. But Sheffield United had their opportunities, and ultimately, I think if Wolves played a better team today, we probably would have dropped points. Not necessarily lost, but we would have definitely dropped points. So I think we did ride our luck a lot today, if I'm completely honest. But there were ultimately elements of Sheffield United's game. I think there were two of their own players scrapping in the first half. And if you were a Blades fan, you're like shaking your head thinking, what is going on at this football club at the moment? They showed signs that they can compete today, but ultimately, like I said, I think a much better team would have dispatched the Wolves and had got something out of that game. I think it was crucial that we made the changes when we did, to be honest. Obviously, Tommy Doyle came on in the end, added a little bit more balance to the midfield. Saw Jean-Rick Bellegarde get a go, Doc coming on to shore things up at the end. But one to forget, I think this is one of those games that if we try and have a conversation with someone at the end of the season or next year about that game at Molineux against Sheffield United, I don't think you'll remember much about it. It's probably going to be one of those that is erased from our memory very, very soon. And it says something when the most memorable moment of the day is when a Wolves fan wins the jackpot on the Astro Pay Challenge at half-time. And then, obviously, we have the Wolves Foundation game as well. So they were the most entertaining parts of the afternoon, really. But we take the 3 points. Wolves up to 8th now. Obviously, Chelsea and West Ham have got games in hand, but fantastic position to be in, and a big week of fixtures now for Wolves. Brighton in the FA Cup, If we can win that into the quarters, which would be amazing. And then obviously Newcastle in the league as well. So if we could continue working hard, continue to look up the table, and also if you are going to watch the highlights tonight, match of the day too, keep your eye out for a familiar face. Be sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this game. I'll catch you all very, very soon.